need to be incredibly aware of where we exactly sit in this time frame here. I don't know if this live started properly. It's hard to tell because for some reason the last couple of days it hasn't made the sound like we're going live, so it's very hard to tell if I'm actually live until I get to see if anybody's saying anything or um, if I can see it on mine, but I don't see anything on my tablet, so I don't know. I don't know. It's actually pretty bizarre. Let's take a look here. Because earlier it didn't start for some reason. Ah, here we go. Okay, so it did start. This is good news. This is good news. So, what I was saying is, I mean, if you guys can hear me, you can let me know, but I think I'll be able to hear myself on my tablet. Let's see. I'll hear myself on my tablet. Hopefully it's coming across loud and clear. But anyhow, it's an incredibly important moment here. Not just the fact that we're heading towards the end of this daily candle. It's particularly this 4-hour candle that I'm looking at within the daily candle and beyond. But it's definitely, we've caught ourselves in a moment where I just think it's a really important moment that we're in. That's why in the title you see XRP and Bitcoin alert. The next 2 hours will tell us everything. You live? I am live, but I don't know if it's coming across to everybody. So, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. It didn't give me the signal that I was live, so I still don't. I'm not actually sure if I'm actually live or not. I feel like you guys can all see me. Okay, good. You guys can see. So it's gonna be, I think, pretty difficult for this to push through because it's simply not. It's not even showing up in mine, which is so weird. But Dan Marginal, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months. And before I go any farther, I just want to say I want to thank all the members of Tom's Army for paying it forward with the monthly memberships and believing what I do. It really means a lot to me. Yeah, I sent a notification out just now. So hopefully those were able to be seen by some. When I didn't see it even start with mine. But yeah, I wanted to come on. My son fell asleep for a nap, and I know Frankie Fresh and Janine, Frankie's working, and Janine and them, they can't, it's hard for a lot of people to get here during the noon lives. However, I did myself a bit of a disservice this evening because I put out a video, I put out a short of XDC, I put out like a video of a story of a crypto liquidation, and then I started this. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people can find their way in here. But the main gist of this live, regardless of how many people are in here, I want to go over why it's so important on this daily close, what happens in the next couple of hours. If we can't right the ship with this 4-hour candle, and we don't get some kind of pullback here and start to push up towards that $1.94, maybe a little bit higher, we could find ourselves in another, pullback down. Right now, though, we do have some kind of a double bottom here. If we could just right the ship just a little bit here, we've got a lot of potential, not just for XRP, but Bitcoin could try to lead the way here, until we decouple, not just with XRP, but from a wider standpoint when it comes to the crypto market, we need Bitcoin to kind of lead the way. Until it starts to heat a little bit, and XDC starts to outperform it, even though they're both still going up. We need Bitcoin at least until further notice, until we get, some kind of further decoupling. We're going to need Bitcoin to help lead the way. So, good evening. 5:39 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, January 22nd, 2025. Or 6. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Why this is so important is because we're still technically working on what could be considered a bear flag here. I know it's created like a little bit of a symmetrical triangle, but a symmetrical triangle is technically a neutral continuation pattern, but it generally takes the deciding factor is the direction it's coming. And we're coming into this in the downward direction. And that's why this is an incredibly important close here. And this 4-hour candle really needs to be at the top side here to where we're getting some kind of an engulfing nature to start out hot and then try to retest this 90,400 to try to come to the top side. Otherwise, we're playing to the bottom here, and this is going to be the problem. We're going to come down to 86,220. But then, again, it's in a neutral continuation pattern. Look at, this is coming on a downward collapse, and that would bring us to 74,000 if we can't break out, which, in all reality, we should be able to come back up near 91,600 to retest that area, but we don't live in a logical and realistically sound world right now when it comes to risk assets. One thing I can tell you is when we're trying to find money and you see stuff like this, and we had a hunch that Platinum Group PLG was about to have a nice little move. It was acting real weird, and we just said, I went deeper into it knowing that there was no reason for it to go back down to the 230 and 240s the other day. There was just no reason. And it's up better than 11.2% today, but when Platinum's up 3.2%, when gold's up $105 or 2.18% to not $4,938.14. When silver's up 3.3% to $96.17. That's an indictment that, risk off is leading the charge right now. I mean, we had the miners were raking it in today. We had B2 gold up better than 6.1% between the day and after hours. We had First Majestic up 9.1% during the day and 0.95% after hours. Fortuna was up 5.46% during the day, 0.35% after hours, and we had Dolly Varden up 8.46% and 1.95% in after hours. And what was PLG was up 10.61% during the day and 0.68% after hours. Wax tested WTI, which is crude, was down 1.67% today. So we've definitely got those that we're watching. LAES had a great day, up 11.6%. So unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you're looking at it, this seemingly seems like it is trying to break towards the upper boundaries. So if it breaks out of this, it's going to be a healthy little return, really, man. That's going to be a healthy sons of a. That'll be a doozer. That's going to be a doozer. It's going to be a doozy. We'll continue to watch that unfold. But anyhow, let's get back to crypto. So are we on the right track? Not really. Do we have a little bit of hope because of what XDC is doing? It's possible, but XDC right now is fighting because it was in a descending, broadening wedge, which is technically a bullish consolidation. But we've got to get over the top. And right now, I did a short to say initially that 4.2 cent area, 4.22, that if it could get over and hold, then we could break out to the next level. But I mean, we're not in as bad of a positioning as it looks. If we could just bounce out, I mean, the good news is XDC came right down to that support structure and it bounced off it and created that inverse head and shoulders, bottom of the broadening wedge. I mean, everything came down perfectly. It actually came down to that layer just like it should have. And if we could get hot here, I mean, it could really make some damage to the top side. Like I'm talking, like if we could get out of this zone, we could make a huge splash here going forward. But we got a lot of work to do. Right now, we're up to that next resistance area, and if we fall out here, well, it's going to be a hell of a lot more work to do if it falls out. Let's just put it that way. But we'll continue to monitor it. So I'm looking for some kind of volatility, some kind of veracity with some of these tokens. Like I'm trying to see if there's any kind of hope here. And the hope that I see is that this daily candle one is trying to put in a reversal, it looks like, but we want to push this up at the end of the day. It's the same thing. Let's go to XRP first before we start doing this. So we want to push this up at the end of the day. All of these have a chance, but we don't want to be on the bottom side of this candle. We want to get some pressure. And for XRP, it is not that much. Like, could we muster up a move to $1.95-ish? in the next hour and 15 minutes. As of right now, it doesn't seem like it, but the sad part is we don't even need a 2% move to get back up there. We need like go up 1.5% little push. You know, can Bitcoin in the next hour and 15 minutes, can it just push up just a little bit more and try to at least give the illusion of a hammer candle? Like get up over 90,000. Show us just the smallest. Well, I don't know if it's going to get over 90. Maybe not 90. But you see, we're running out of time here. We need to get a little bit of upward. We need a little bit of upwardness. We need upward. We need some damn testicular fortitude or something. But we're very close to, because we have a lot of liquidity over the top. But if we fall out, this is the other thing I always tell people. Yes, there's liquidity a lot closer over the top, and it's the path of least resistance right now. But it's still easier for people to sell. So if you go into a spiral and capitulation style event, well, all bets are off. Furby Trade says, Tom, did you see the news I posted on the Telegram? Ooh, I'm going to have to look. I've been a little busy this afternoon. I was supposed to be driving to Grand Rapids, but we had a whole bunch of stuff that, with snow and stuff, that ended up breaking to where we had to reschedule it. Thankfully we did, because they canceled my son's school for tomorrow because we're going to be negative like 8 tomorrow for real temperatures, so they couldn't risk it with the kids, which I thought they were going to. Plus they only have a half day, and they're already talking about possibly they may get canceled on Monday. What was the news? Apparently I was rich and poor in the same day. Interesting. I probably gotta go to Nick's section. Ah, what was the news, Nick? Fed chair pick announcement soon and funding bill. Oh, wait a minute. Was that in the other spot? I seen so much stuff today, I can't remember where it's at. Excuse my ignorance, Nick. Having one of those, having a moment here. Having a moment. It might not have posted we were having issues. Yeah. That could be. There's been a lot of technical issues on. It's not just for anybody in the Telegram. I've been having a lot of technical issues on YouTube too. I don't know exactly what's going on, but it's getting a little dicey. I wish I was. You know, I've been having some incredible progress on Facebook with these stories, and with the way I've been doing, not just satire, but just the different kind of writings and stuff. And I think yesterday was the most views I ever had, 190 something thousand on Facebook. It's been in the definite uptrend. I picked up a lot of followers in the last couple of weeks by doing this, and in the last 9 days, I think it said I had over 1 million views on Facebook. So the conversion rate's not exactly that good to only pick up a few thousand followers out of 1 million views, but it definitely jumped it up, you know, pretty quickly. I seen it before I messed things up. The BlackRock guy is my favorite still. Yeah, I talked about, we talked about that yesterday. How they could technically go with the, I mean, they're going to have a lot of this cornered. But anyhow, let's, before I lose my focus, with XRP, incredibly important here. I think it's an incredibly important close. It's nice that I'm seeing us start pushing up here at the end. That's why I put the 2-hour window. This I don't normally put that in a title, but I really feel that today. This last 2 hours here, between 5 and 7 when I had first posted that, is very important. Imagine we get a little bit of a rally here, guys, and we can get up to 194-ish. It's not that far. If we could go up 1.4 cents, this entire thing will feel different at the close. Sorry, Tom, just possible bullish for crypto. No, don't be sorry. I was hoping that it would be something like that because what I'm seeing in the charts right now are telling me that something bullish is coming. It feels like. Now, what it can't tell us if we have to go down first before that, but it certainly seems like XDC is trying to tell us something. I really do. I mean, I see it in the charts too. When you look at the wider view, you can see these big inverse head and shoulders. And damn it, if XDC is going up, again, I'm following XDC. I'm like I said, when it made the little drop, I've been tempting fate, and I'm pretty betting for the market right now. You know, the last couple of days here. It's just I don't know where that floor is. We might have already hit the floor for this next bounce. But it's incredibly important to pay attention, in my opinion, to this close. A lot depends on it. And I'm not a financial advisor. And I don't know how long I would stay in if it did rotate and it but I can tell you right now, if it invalidates this structure, we would have a problem. But see these inverse patterns? Forget the wick. Shoulder, head, shoulder. It plays out in any universe, any language, any continent, any planet, any solar system, even in the ice wall. It'll still play out the same. We've got XRP. You know, and this is why I always say, like, it's not possible for every single chart to just look the same with a small ambiance. I mean, how is it possible that, and let's ask ourselves, it's a conspiracy. I love conspiracy, guys. Like, I love to open it up. In 26, I just want to think deeper. How is it possible? Shoulder, head, shoulder, slightly different than H bar, but it's still a shoulder, head, shoulder. I wonder if I go to Algo, if there's a shoulder, head, shoulder. Oh, what's that? A shoulder, head, shoulder. Same liquidity width. You know, it doesn't matter what you look at, and it's like, how can they do this? This one's already double bottom. Slightly different, but see the wick, and then you can go shoulder, head. I mean, you could still do it. Some are slightly different. But for the majority, they even set up the same. Like, I can see it in Bitcoin. You know, it's just slightly different. They're just slightly different. So if they all drop, you'll see all of this invalidate at the same time. Or if they all play out, excuse me, if you see them all play out, you'll see the shoulder, head, kind of shoulder play out. And then it'll end up looking like XDC. XDC preceded it with its own version of a shoulder, head, shoulder. Like, they all play this out. And then when they pull up, you're like, oh, damn. Why didn't I know? Well, that's because you did know. But it's so hard to take a shot on it when it's in that formation. So what I did, like I said with XDC, nothing, did it. Once it came down and tapped, because we've been watching the support, and that was our take a shot. And it came close enough, and at that line, it was right there. Came through, didn't do anything, took a shot. Now we'll see if it breaks out. If not, at least you've got the line in the sand where you could sell it if you don't want to sit through it. If it breaks down and does this, and then comes down, and then have to decide the next level, because the next layer, if this didn't break out, oh, it's ugly. It's super ugly. You know, 2-2. So there's good reason why you wouldn't want to sit out. But I've talked about this for a long time with XDC. It is not in XDC's best interest to come down there with the longevity of this pattern that it's created. It is not in its benefit. That is a massive inverse head and shoulders. That is a massive pattern that's been consolidating since roughly 2021. And this can go farther back. There's, you know, you can do a different chart. But this one, I think, emphasizes it for the all-time setup, how it's been consolidating. And you can look at these with the uptrend starting and things like that. But it is really at this point now where, holy Toledo, are we going to we're either making something happen here, or this is going to be a fake out, and we're going to end up going a lot lower to 2-2. But this literally looks like it's building something bigger. What I would like to see personally is I would have liked to have seen it come up here and then start back testing here. And then we have a shoulder, head, and then, you know, an elevated shoulder to show strength. Then we round our way up to here. That's what I really want to see. You know, I would love to see something like that. XDC is over. It's over. The drawdown's been epic. I mean, you're talking about you can go back 10 years or, 21 were lower than it was. If you go into some charts to go way back, I mean, we're basically getting towards levels that we cut ourselves in half and we're getting back down to the lows of yesteryear again. So, but we'll see. I like this chart because it kind of cuts off farther back and you can watch it in real time, try to develop. So we'll see if that pans out. But the good news is we were in a descending broadening wedge. And if you don't know what that is and you want to learn more, make sure you take the classes that start February 2nd. They're going to be live in real time. Even if you can't watch them in real time, they'll be stored. Every single class, it's going to build its own database and it'll find its own audience. If you want to bet on me as I expand the brand and bet on myself, I'd appreciate seeing you there. If you want to be there, it's $49.99 a month. You get 8 classes a month, 8 hours a week, or 2 hours a week, 8 hours a month, 8 classes a month, and it's going to be going on for a very long time. If there's only 5 people in there, I don't care. I know there's more than that, but I'm saying as we get going 6 months from now, as long as we have like 5 people and we can carry the message, I'll keep doing it. It's something that I want to do regardless. So even if nobody's in there, I'm going to build a database. Because I really do want to go from the most basic of fundamentals, just starting with money and starting with that kind of stuff, the philosophy. You all have seen it. And then work our way through it. And then you'll become the most seasoned version of yourself. And you won't need a financial planner, an asset manager, a financial planner, somebody to tell you how to trade stocks. You don't need any of that. You don't need an economist. You can be your own, but you need to know the information. So XDC, and there's a link in the video description below and our pinned comments of this very live if you're interested or want to see more. But 4.22 cents, I mean, we're right there. In a lot of ways, we're right there. Not just for XDC. I mean, in a lot of ways in this market, we are so close. We are so close. The fact that Bitcoin was able to do a liquidity sweep too didn't hurt. They're about to tokenize the market soon, as we've been hearing, but Fox Business still. Oh, we got it today. Oh, there's been a lot of good news with all of that actually today. House passes funding bill, including, there was breaking news just now. Hold on, I gotta go make sure my son's doing good. Julie's sleeping. Make sure to hit that like button. I will be right back. Alright, sorry about that, everybody. If you're new, my son, he's autistic and he's nonverbal, so I just like to make sure that everything's good. Let's see. Everything Trump does at magical. Yeah. I don't like to get into politics. Let's see. So we looked at the XRP, we looked at Bitcoin. We've looked at how we see a lot of similarities in these patterns. Now, if we want to crunch the numbers just a little bit for XRP, we're still stuck for the most part, and this is the best way I think to look at it in the short term. It's not a descending triangle because we don't have a flat support. So the good news is here we don't have a flat. So basically, if we had lower highs and we had a stationary support, so like we're coming. So here, let me, for example, be very easy to show you. This will be some great stuff in classes too, but I like to teach in these lives every single day. So you boom, down, high, higher low, higher low, lower high. Well, if it was a descending triangle when we would, and this very well could be a neutral continuation pattern anyhow, but we'll see. But a descending triangle is basically telling you like you're in a lot of trouble here. And that would be like down, back up, flat support, back up, flat. So, you keep hitting that same exact level support. So instead it would look something like this. So it's like down to here, back up, down to here, back up, down to here until it breaks through. So fortunately right now we don't technically have to worry about that because it looks more like a symmetrical triangle right now. Now if this was more like this, whoops, let's see. This is coming like this, so if we had something more like this, and now all of a sudden you're breaking through, that would be more like a descending wedge. And then that's a bullish reversal more than likely. But that also is not what we're in. We're in more like a neutral continuation pattern, it looks like. More like a symmetrical triangle, if you had to ask me. Higher lows, lower highs, but we came in and not so pretty of a way. So the trend is your friend until it's not. And right now the trend says we should probably go down, which is what scares me because no matter how much I want it to go up, no matter how much I want this to close in the right direction, until the trend changes or we get some kind of volume, we're always going to have to look at the fact of, well, we just don't have the fortitude. We don't have the endurance. We don't have the support. And we have a problem. So that's where we're at right now. I still like the fact that there is an inverse head and shoulders showing there, and I like the fact that XDC did what it did, but am I comfortable? No. No, I'm not comfortable, okay? I'm never comfortable when it comes to these damn markets anymore. But you're going to get some shake and bake, razzle dazzle. Oh, you're going to get some razzle dazzle here. If this is going to break, you're going to get some razzle dazzle. So if it's going to break up, it's setting up for the 7 o'clock hour. But this could very easily be invalidated. For XRP, if it comes below, I think it's $1.80, $1.87, would just completely invalidate this. But to me, even if it comes below $1.90, it's horrible. If this comes below $1.90, it's over. I don't think it's going to be able to hold it if it comes below $1.90. Thanks, Tom, for always being honest with us. You're welcome, Frankie Fresh. And Janine, I hope you're having a good day or a good evening, my love. I hope you're doing great, you and Frankie Fresh. You're such amazing people, and thanks for being in Tom's Army, the two of you, for 6 months plus with the XP Predictor. It means the world to me. And Nick, thanks for being a very trusted mod in the Telegram. Furby Trades in here. And Tom's Army 2nd month with Dust Shadows Crypto News. And yeah, gold, I mean, I've talked about it, Nick. I know that there's got to be a pullback somewhere, but right now, where we're at in history, I mean, there was technical targets because of the way it's set up with gold and silver that my technical target is 5,100. Well, it's actually a little bit higher. The next thing we have to go look for is 5,200 area, and then it becomes, is 5,000 going to be the floor? So at this point, I'm ready to stop watching and check back in a few months, in 6 months. Yeah, that's what a large amount of people do that watch YouTube influencers too. They go away and they hibernate. I mean, just from a bias standpoint, I would tell you to keep tuning in and try to stay with the trend. Because once you fall off the trend, even when you want to get back in it, you forget what's going on. And that's actually a very devastating moment to have happen. But I understand it, believe me. I completely understand it. Because it just gets worse and worse, it feels like, by the minute. You know, and it's a very demoralizing thing. When you watch this market do this over and over and over, and then you're watching gold and silver and mining stocks. Fortunately, if you're a fan of mine, I preached this stuff when it was really cheap. Tom, that was a terrible story you posted earlier about 100. I know, I wanted to read it during the live too, because I don't think everybody's going to see it. There was a story that I was reading. Who knows if how true it is, or if this person was just trying to get some clout, but, you know, it's more like on the Reddit side. But you get stories all the time, and I started to think about it. Like, this could be a real content provider. So I tested it on Facebook, and I've tried a few things like that. But Facebook, I can be a little bit more off the cuff because I have to be more integral here. Not saying I'm not on Facebook, but I can be a little more outlandish because that is, after all, like satire as well as like conspiracy, including my price stuff as well when I do my charts. But I try to keep it light over there. And I also had a challenge for myself. I wanted to see if I could go viral by just doing things in a different way than just, oh, let's do the charts. And, I definitely have been getting a lot of views. So we'll see if it continues or not. But the next step would, yeah, so anyhow, forget all of that. But, gold, like we said, 5,200 is technically a target. And the thing is, like with the mining stocks, they are breaking out of all-time formations. Like, these are all-time highs they're breaking out of. And they've set, like we talked about the descending triangle on, crypto. We've got ascending triangles, like the exact opposite, like these bullish continuations that are building on some of these. And like we've talked about Fortuna, once it got over 10 and figured it out, it should be a quick jump. Like, it really should be a quick jump up to like 14, 16, if we get the right environment. In the 1 minute at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at the 1 minute, you're gonna cut your own head off. The 1 minute is, I've seen so many people lose money in the 1 minute, not understanding that the 1 minute should only be used for laser precision on an entry. Not even necessarily for a laser entry or exit. Just if you want to refine in the minute, like, hey, I'm going to buy something right now. You get into the 1 minute and you say, well, is there any chance that this will come down 1/4% or 0.5% or 1%? You don't care. Like, if you've already made up your mind that that's a good spot to buy, I would encourage to go in the 1 minute to see if you're at the top or the bottom of a little bit of a formation, and maybe you can save 0.5%. 0.5% could be the difference between X amount and, this and that. But other than that, I would stay away from that. Somebody asked me a good question, Nick did, in the Telegram, and he said, how do I avoid just watching the chart so much that I end up selling myself out of a trade and not even bad, like you make money, but on a scalp trade or even a swing trade, or a levered trade at that, the best advice I can give, you got to get out of the charts. Like, what I do is I don't open the chart. I'll look at the price like it is like this, and I'll go up and down like this, but I won't get into the chart. Because the moment I get into the chart and I click it, I go, okay, well, that looks like shit. Which this does look like shit. This is the worst close we could have asked for, by the way. And then it gets into that, but yeah, because that looks ugly at the end of the day. That's ugly. And then I don't know, that kind of seems a little ugly to me, too. Is that like a hidden bearish divergence there or something at the end of this? Like, from here to here, this actually went up here a little bit. Even though the price action went down, we had a little bit of a continuation. I know it's small, but that might be something to pay attention to. Hopefully that just reverses back up. I'm hopeful that this is just kind of a play down, and then we eventually reverse back up. I use the 1 minute and 5 minute for day trading, not swing / long term. And I love it, Nick. That's what I was talking about. For the swing moment, I definitely agree with that. A lot of people get in trouble with it for because they try to do long term trading based on the 1 and 5 minute. Even if you're stressing out about a chart, to look at anything less than really the daily chart, it does you a disservice if it's a long term hold. Because right now, you'd be cutting your head off right now for that little push down. And now we'll see if it continues down or if that's just a liquidity grab at the end of this candle. Be surprised how many liquidity sweeps there are at the end of the candle. I still think it's a good sign that XDC is fighting here, guys. Like this, I put in the Telegram just one little message. Just one message. And I just put... All I put was if patient, XDC is showing us a bullish reversal, or is showing us a bullish reversal is looming in spot. It's a wait and see approach, and it's so true. And I know a lot of people are having. There's some people with issues trying to sign up for the courses, and it's sad that that's happening. It is sad. I would love as many people as possible in there. But can I just say one thing right now? If you want to, so as far as the sponsors go, you know, there is some diligence to do. So I have a different kind of sponsor here that you'll have to hear about. Somewhat new, somewhat old. But it's each and every person with the emoji badge next to their name. So my sponsors of this show who allow me to do this the way I do it are the members of Tom's Army. The ones who take the classes that are coming up. The ones who are just in Tom's Army to pay it forward. You know, those are the unsung heroes. Every single person, if you want to know why I can do what I do at this show, every single person with an emoji badge like Frankie Fresh or Clam Bellies for 6 months with the XRP Predictor, or Furby Trades with their 2nd month, or Canvas Podcast over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. You know, or let's see, CJ2 Pilot for 2 years with the XP 589 Moon badge. Mrs. and Mr. Stott and Scott Lowry and I Hustle Harder Than You for 3 months plus with the XRP Meteor. You know, the members who are sponsoring this show, like Garbanzo, without even knowing it, being in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XP Predictor, and trading with J-Ride for over 4 years with the XRP Phoenix badge, sponsoring the show for over 4 years. Like that, these are real sponsors. These are the ones who believe in what I do, and they allow me to be here. So I thank you all for sponsoring this show in a different kind of way. So if you want to participate, become a sponsor of this show one step at a time, join Tom's Army. Become the ever-growing allegiance, the legions of sponsors that help me do what I do here. So you don't have to watch the advertising during the lives themselves. So you don't have to listen to me talk about other sponsors day in and day out or switch the way my show is run. So thank you to all of you in Tom's Army. Thank you for all of you. Crypto Cooter for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge and a very trusted mod. Silver Days over a 2nd month with the Dusty's out. That was Crypto News. Who else do we have? We have D-Bill in 1st month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Like, that is super awesome. And that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge with my big forehead and all. After all, you can't have a big brain without a big forehead. Yep, I have a hard-ass skull right here, too, so if I ever headbutt somebody, it fucking hurts. Oh, excuse me. I appreciate it. Maple Man is a proud sponsor, 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. So, again, I thank all of you for silently sponsoring my show. And because of that, I have declined more sponsors than you know to try to keep this running the same way that we have it. And I promise to keep doing that as long as you guys help sponsor me in this way. I really do appreciate it. Crazy Polis sponsor along with Mark Caston and Oliver Marks. Thank you guys for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Dollins is back in Tom's Army. He says, damn it, I'm going to be a sponsor too. You're not leaving me out. Goins for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. This really came to me. I really thought about this long and hard, and it's wrong. I do have sponsors, each and every one of you. You know, I really do. We have a lot of sponsors. We micro-sponsor. We sponsor this. It's beautiful. Mark Casson says, Silver. I will take a look at Silver for you, my good friend. You know what? You guys should all thank Frankie Fresh. Clam Bellies why I'm live right now. In the Telegram, I seen his message saying I can't watch during, as much during the day because of work. I said, oh, shit, I got to start doing the lives again at night when I can. So I waited. My son's napping. So I said, hey, if I can get an hour here, I'm going on for Frankie Fresh. Well, the Telegram is for members of Tom's Army because we had a lot of spammers. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule, but that's a perk for the members of Tom's Army who sponsor this very program as a thank you for me. And it's got 502 members. Not everybody's in Tom's Army, but the new, over the last so many months, we've been switching, to that kind of a style to try to avoid the spammers. It's helped some. Man, oh man, this is getting pretty nuts though with mining stocks. I'm just going to tell you, mining stocks are, I I don't know what to say anymore sometimes. Like, I really don't know what to say, but here's a nice little fight here at the end of the day. Come on, baby. Fight, damn it. Fight. See, and this is why being in spot is so fun, because you can watch the fight and go, pew, pew, pew. I don't care what you do until you break this wall down. You can go take that liquidity wick 6% down and come right back up. I don't give a rat's ass if you go down to $1.80 and work your way back up. But when you're in leverage, you're like, oh, God, please, no. I'm sweating my nuts off. Here, let me read a story to all of you just so you can get down on our level. Hey, don't mean to bug you, but I figured... Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Good job. Who reminded me of this? Totally awesome. I remember now when I see your message. We're going to look at this right now. We're preempting what we're doing. Hey, don't mean to bug you, but I figured chat would be interested on you putting that Italian bank call if ETH goes to... Or if Ethereum goes to 0. So you want to know... So... Thank you for the $5 super chat. Totally awesome. And being a paid sponsor of Tom's Army with your third month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by, the third month of the XRP Meteor, 3 months plus. What exactly do you want me to ask AI? Like, can you type it in? I know you want me to ask AI I think it's if Ethereum goes to 0. So you want to put, if Ethereum goes to 0, what happens to the Italian bank? Is that what you're asking? To get put through there? I'm just trying to make sure. This is fascinating. I'm so glad that you actually commented about this. I must have missed it before because I've been... Sorry, I get so passionate. Goins, what's going on, my brother? Happy Fox, good evening, my friend. I'm glad to see you in here. Glad to see you in here. So, Goins says, need chicken, creamy Caesar salad dressing. Oh, Goins, to get into the Telegram. Okay, so you're a member of Tom's Army. So go to so on YouTube, just go to my YouTube homepage. So on the homepage, just click on my YouTube and then go to the memberships. And then there's going to be, so when you click on this, there's a section here that has the Telegram. So there's a link right there. Just click on that link and then just follow the prompts when you join. It's very important. And then, if anybody wants to do it, you can go in here, and then if you upgrade, you can go into the members only classes, but it's not going to show it on here because it's my portfolio. Go into the members only classes, but it's not going to show it on here. So, but anyhow, I want to read this story, but I want to first, it's been incredible. Yesterday I had 194,000 views. I mean, we're up to 11,000 followers. I'm going to shatter my YouTube page in not too long. I can't even go live on Facebook because it hasn't been open that long, and I've already gotten a ridiculous amount of followers. That's exciting, though, to get over 1 million views in 10 days, I must say. I am not even monetized in that way. I can't even do advertising on my Facebook page because that new page isn't new. It's too new. It's going to be pretty nice. So, totally awesome. It's a document they just recently put out. Just tell the AI to tell everyone the general statements that they made, the points, how they modeled it, and their problems with Ethereum. Okay, so the Italian bank call. The Italian bank call. I'm trying to figure out how to word this, though. It does make sense. So would it be what would happen? So it's the Italian bank call. So it's a document. Okay, let me try to figure this out with AI. I'm going to do it on my phone so that I can try to do this in a quick way. And then we'll be able to hear it. Okay. This is great. I love this, by the way. And we can watch the market break down. Get closer to the 7 o'clock hour together here. It always surprises me how many people just don't care about this stuff. The stuff that actually matters about the market. It's red and everybody's like, fuck it. It gets green, they're like, well, how did I miss out? How did this miss out? So, let's see. And you would never be bugging me, totally awesome. So, I appreciate the super chat, but, you would never bother me. You never would. I'll put my hat on. I technically could in this inverse head and shoulders. I thought about putting it on. I actually thought about doing something different. Oh, I don't think this is much charge, is it? You know, see, I wish this hat wasn't... I wish it wouldn't have had the issue. Don't worry, I have a new one I ordered. It just, they take a minute to get in. But yeah, the one Julie ordered me that actually lights up was pretty nice. But anyhow, let me do this. Let me do this. So, the Italian, let's see. I need about the Italian bank a document if Ethereum went to zero. What does this say? Like, I'm trying to figure out more about this. Can you explain this to me?
It sounds like you're asking about the recent research paper from the Bank of Italy that has been making waves in the crypto
Okay,
world
this has
month.
to be it.
The document, titled Asterisk, What if Ether Goes to Zero? How Market Risk Becomes Infrastructure Risk in Crypto. Asterisk was published by economist Claudia Biancotti on January 12, 2026. It isn't a prediction that Ethereum will fail, but rather a stress test to see what happens to the financial system if it did. Here is a breakdown of what the document actually says. 1. Market risk versus infrastructure risk. The core idea is that Ethereum is no longer just a speculative coin. It has become financial plumbing. Because things like stablecoins and tokenized real-world assets, bonds, real estate, run on Ethereum, if the price of ETH crashes, the pipes themselves might break. 2. The validator exit problem. Ethereum stays secure because people, validators, lock up their ETH to process transactions. The incentive validators do this because they earn rewards in ETH. The risk. If ETH goes to zero, those rewards become worthless. The result. The paper models a scenario where validators rationally exit because the cost of electricity and hardware exceeds their reward. If enough people stop validating, the network slows down, stops confirming transactions, and becomes vulnerable to attacks. 3. The $800 billion freeze. The report warns that if the network becomes unstable or halts, it could essentially freeze over $800 billion in assets, like USDC or USDT, that live on top of the blockchain. Even if the stablecoin itself is safe and backed by dollars, you couldn't move it because the underlying network is broken. 4. What the bank recommends, since central banks can't bail out a decentralized token like ETH, the paper suggests 2 paths for regulators. Restrict use. Prohibit regulated banks from using public blockchains for critical tasks. Disaster plans. Require companies to have business continuity plans, like keeping off-chain registries of who owns what, so they can migrate to a different network if Ethereum fails. Given your interest in XRP and market analysis, this report is particularly relevant because it highlights a growing regulatory concern: the difference between a coin's price and the reliability of the network it powers. Would you like me to look into how other central banks, like the ECB, are responding to this specific Italian report?
You're damn right I do want to know. Yes, please. I apologize for my misbehavior. Will you just tell me what's going on without having to keep asking me, please?
No need to apologize. I'm here to dive into the details for you. While the Bank of Italy's paper focuses on the what-if of a crash, the European Central Bank, ECB, is moving in a slightly different direction. They aren't just looking at the risks, they are actively building a backup plan to move the financial system away from depending on public coins like ETH. Here is the situation as of January 2026. 1. The ECB's Pontes and Appia projects. The ECB isn't waiting to see if Ethereum fails. They have launched 2 major initiatives to create a regulated version of what Ethereum does. Project Pontes, Q3 2026. This is a pilot program designed to let banks settle big transactions using blockchain technology, but using central bank money instead of a volatile token. It connects existing...
Oh, are you kidding me? Totally awesome. Hell yeah, I could do a call-in segment with you. I did it before, and people could hear. I've done it 3 times now, so I know it works. I would just have you call into a phone number, and we could have a little segment, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, and you could even share it from your end so it would go over, so it would go over. I would absolutely be more open to that, too, during some of these lives. I absolutely love it with the audience. The XDC, the replacement for, the replacement for Ethereum for XDC. Let's see. Okay, I have a different question. How could XDC be the replacement of JP Morgan's fork for Ethereum called Quorum?
To understand how XDC, often referred to as Sinn Fin, or sometimes XTC,
Well, because it's the
in
fork,
shorthand,
so
would
that's...
replace or improve upon JP Morgan's Quorum A, it is important to first realize that they share the same DNA. XDC is actually a fork of Quorum. While Quorum was built by JP Morgan to be a private, permissioned version of Ethereum for banks, XDC was designed to take that same technology and turn it into a
I'd be
hybrid
honored, totally
public-private
awesome.
network.
I really would.
Here is the breakdown of why XDC is often discussed as the evolved version or replacement for enterprise use. 1. The infrastructure bridge. Quorum is primarily a private blockchain. This means it's great for JP Morgan to move money internally, like JPM coin, but it's a walled
God, look how big that...
XDC's advantage. It uses a hybrid architecture. It allows a company to keep its sensitive data on a private subnetwork, like Quorum, while using a public state for settlement and verification. This makes it more useful for global trade where different companies don't necessarily trust each other's private databases. 2. ISO 20022 compliance. As you may know from your interest in XRP, the banking world is moving toward the ISO 20022 standard for financial messaging. Quorum. Being a private fork of Ethereum, it doesn't natively focus on these global banking messaging standards. It's more of a general purpose tool.
So, can XDC actually replace Ethereum long term then?
The short answer is yes, you absolutely can make that case. Based on the Bank of Italy's new research, January 2026, and the current shift in how central banks view infrastructure risk, the argument that Ethereum could be replaced, at least for institutional and banking purposes, is stronger than it has been in years. Here is how you can frame that replacement argument for your channel or your own.
Okay, so I'll dig deeper into that, and I'll put something on Facebook, and maybe I'll share it on YouTube as well if it does good enough, and I figure out a way to word it and things like that. But doesn't it make sense with all this stuff that's setting up for XDC that we would be in this? I mean, this is just an insane setup right now. Look how, I mean, it makes me, I tell everybody, this is the one that makes me stay up at night. I've got a heavy investment in this. Every time it gets to a support structure, it's back in initiation phase, and that's where it's been since it hit the support structure again. And the reason why this one was important is, and it's so fucking weird how this is all set up now because of this stupid, and don't let it bother you, but there was supposed to be that one, and then there's supposed to be this one, and this is the one that it tapped. And the reason why this is important is because if you look at this, you got uptrending support, and let me change the color so we can see. But for anybody who stuck this out, I am so extremely bullish in the future on XDC. I think it's going to outperform XRP. It's not even going to be close because of where the price points are. I don't even think it's going to be in the same stratosphere. And it keeps me up at night because I've often thought of how much money do I even buy any H bar? Like, should I even have H bar? Should I even have algo? Should I even have XLM? Or should I just, should it be? But I like the triple X HA, so I like XRP, XLM, XDC, H bar, and algo. But I will be honest, I have like over 300,000 XDC, so I weight pretty heavily into XDC. I believe in it so much. I'm a mechanic. Literal descriptions of what these tokens actually do. Okay, so the easiest way for XDC is it has coding, direct coding to be with the ISO, but not just that. There's the R3 Corda. So basically think of the guts of this whole thing. Of how not just information get from one place to the other, but how they can actually put these little pieces of info into where the actual validators of this can read it, but take it a step farther besides just the movement of money. What about the movement of secrets? What about the movements of... Everybody thinks about the money moving from point A to point B. I think it's even deeper than that. What about all this stored data that's encrypted within these individual blockchains? And XDC is one of the best ones for this. That's why the institutions, the governments, and everybody else runs to it because it's almost like a lock and key feature. Just like HBAR. HBAR is one of the only ones that you can literally go and withdrawal from one to the other to the other to the other network wise, and you don't have to keep rewording it, re-putting new things in. It just remembers it. That's like they each work their own sector. They each work their own sector. So I mean, the best way to describe it is there's nothing there technically, but if the code is run right, and we're actually going digital like we think, like think of how far ahead we are, and not the sense of, oh my God, we can get so rich because we bought it at X amount. No, it's not because of that. It's if you can understand the tokens. Forget even XRP at this point. We've got what I think is a sure thing. Everybody talks about XCN with JP Morgan. That's not, if you want to talk about JP Morgan, XDC is actually connected by the nutsack. And it's better than Ethereum. It's cheaper than Ethereum. It's got a lot smaller supply. What is it, 20% or 30% the total supply of XRP? You know, I'm a big component of this part of the game. And XRP's done us great, and I'm going to own it long term. But I just think where we're at, percentage-wise, there's a few of them that I think can knock the dick off of XRP from here. Maybe not by percentages, you know, if you don't have as much money in, so you don't have to move as much percentages, because think about it, and it's the same thing with my miners. So XRP we bought at 34 cents. If it's up at $6, yeah. You know, even right now you got 20 grand in it, as to where do you have the same dollar amount from the lower prices? So they got to appreciate. But it's like that with the miners. Like when we started, 1,000 shares of First Majestic was $4 grand. Now it's 22 or 23,000 for those same 1,000 shares. For 1,000 shares of Fortuna Silver Mines, it was like 350 on average. Now it's 11,000. You know, 3,500. Now it's 11,000. Hecla Mining was 4,250. Now it's like 25,000. You know, that's the point. Like, it depends where you buy it. So the higher it goes up, the faster these things happen. So I'm always looking for opportunity. I'm telling you, XDC, in my gut, it didn't do this by accident and clear out when everything was still moving. Something's going on deeper than we can see with XDC. Yeah, 38.0. So 38% of the supply of XRP, the total supply. But for the price point, it doesn't take much to move it. So you can have 7. I mean, these prices are dirt cheap. And when it's ready to move, it's going to knock our dicks off. I really believe it. I mean, my heart tells me XDC, it's so powerful. There's 4 Legions of Doom outside of XRP that do different things. XRP, we know what it does. We're very interested. Then you got the other side of it, basically everything that XRP wants to do, but it needs more help with, and that's why they created XLM. It's my own conspiracy. So that's the other side of it, and it's so cheap. But at the same time, if I had to pick between XLM and XDC, I don't think I would touch XLM or XRP at this point. Well, I mean, now with the price appreciation of it. But I would definitely be looking at XDC. Well, I wish it would have been at 3.7 or 6 when it made that drop. Everybody would have been paying attention. Like, again, this, to me, I feel like XDC was an easy score here. I didn't know it was going to go up that quick, but I knew it was at the bottom of a descending, broadening wedge. And it hit the old resistance. It was hitting as support now before this push up. So it was something. That's why we spotlighted it a little more yesterday. Just like those particular mining stocks, if you remember, we kept talking about PLG, how it was getting ready and it was acting weird, and that's usually what happens before a breakout. And it did. It tried to shake people out for a few days. Look what it did at the beginning of the week even. And a couple of weeks ago, it came all the way back down here. But then at the beginning of the week here, what was it, the end of last week, we came down to 252. Before that, it was just wild volatility. Like, on the daily candle yesterday, we came down to 255. And that's when we're like, nah, this isn't right, because even the setup it's in, it should break out. So it gave us an artificial breakdown. And, you know, you can honestly say it kind of changed that pattern a little bit, didn't it? Because now you could start to say maybe, just maybe, you know, maybe, just maybe, it didn't, it wasn't a symmetrical. Maybe it was more of an ascending triangle. Instead, it wasn't a symmetrical. It ended up forming a ascending triangle, which is bullish at the end. That's a continuation to the top side. And we already know we're in a bullish continuation there. So this is the early signs of PLG making a huge breakout here. I mean, I know we have a monumental breakout if this actually breaks out off of here and does its thing. But, you know, we have smaller breakouts that we have to account for first. But there is a potential here for PLG and some of these other miners. And I don't know what to say because I used to talk about this years ago. And it's just like, you talk about it, and then when it starts to get in that position, you're like, oh my God. And when you see the potential, it's like there's no way. But then when you start to think of what happens if silver gets to $200 and $300, what happens if gold's at 10,000, what happens if platinum catches up and is at 4,000 and 5,000 or more? Well, obviously these miners are gonna go ballistic. The crazy thing is, and this is the scary part, 2025 seems like it was an epic rally. Do you know we didn't even hit into our technical all-time high run where we finally broke through all-time highs until 26? So technically 2026 should surpass 25, and to think like that, I don't know what to think. The miners, if this continues, is going to single-handedly make my dreams come true. Because I had a heavy pivot back in January of 25 from crypto when we were topping, because I had the kahunas and the stones to go against what everybody else was saying. And I had trusted my own conviction despite getting murdered and having a lot of people unfollow my channel, which is fine. It happens all the time. I go through spurts. Because of what the miners are doing, I've been having a nice little spurt on YouTube, I noticed. Today was a nice pickup of subscribers. You can always feel in the analytics, you can see it when it's swaying in your direction. We should have a little bit of a surge here over the next couple of days or weeks. And then when they fall out, people unfollow. But, you know, we got to try to figure out how to time these markets. And you know what? I'm still convinced that oil here coming up is going to be a big play. And I need to put this on here because I've been doing some research. The one that's tied to the barrel the most, so it'd be like buying silver, like SLV, you know, because of how it's tied to silver if you're trying to trade a stock. It is called, and I've been doing a lot of research here because I want to be ready for this when it comes. Just in case we don't want to do the oil exploration companies and we want to take it from a better standpoint. It is called, I saved it in here, United States Brent Oil Fund. So it's called USO. I believe it's USO. We need to talk about this while it's at this consolidation peak. USO, United States Oil Fund. And I'm not a shellacking. I actually know what I'm talking about. I'm not a douchebag. You know, I don't come in here to steal your money. You know, I want you guys to learn with me, grow with me, and be able to achieve some stuff with me. Because when I get to the top of the mountain, and I will, I'm getting there. I don't want to be there alone. And I know I'm going to get there because I have the persistence, I have the consistency, I have the dedication, and I have the continued mind to keep learning that I know we'll get there. I guarantee it. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a friendly, positive, family-friendly show that I'm trying to encourage more family. So we're going to make it to the finish line one way or the other. I don't give a rat's... Well, I can't say that either. I don't give a... I don't know what I can say, but I can tell you right now, if you stay dedicated, I promise you, we're going to make it to the finish line. We're going to make it to the finish line. And USO is the United States Oil Fund. And this, from what I can tell, is the most pegged to the movement. And the only reason I bring it up is we got some mighty interesting movement here on this fund. So are we getting ready for a huge breakout here in oil or what? Because if we are, this is so undervalued that this, in my opinion, would be the way to go if you don't want to go into the exploration companies. And I don't know, I'm not convinced I do want to go into exploration companies just because they're so volatile. Drop out, huge V shape. I mean, it's got me thinking here. Will we always be here together forever? We absolutely will be, regardless. This is just what I do. So, you know, when you get old and you need something to do, you know, we're not old enough, Frankie Fresh. I know you're 10 years older than me, just about. But we're nowhere near what I'm talking about. When I'm 70, I want to still have this going. We'll have 35 years together. And I don't plan on missing days, but who knows by then. But I want to keep doing this regardless. My biggest dream is to become that wealthy and still be able to do this. Like I've gone from, very little and, assets to a lot different now than when I started in 21. And it's been a live growth here in front of everybody. But what do we think about this? I'm not going nowhere, Frankie. As long as I'm breathing, and I have to breathe for a long time for my son. So I take care of myself. And I don't do a lot of things other people do. I've sacrificed not partying for a long part of my life and doing that kind of stuff for longevity. And now for my son, I started fasting 3.5 years ago. I got into the best shape of my life. But if this played out, I mean, you're talking about in this fund, I'm not even fucking kidding. Shoot. I'm not even kidding, everybody. I'm serious. Like, this would be a move to 291. I'm not saying these are risk-free bets. But what do you guys I need to know. I need to know, and that's a neutral continuation pattern, it looks like, with an ascending triangle. I mean, a symmetrical triangle. Maybe not. Hold on. Maybe not. Maybe we can refine this a little bit and see exactly what's going on. So if we do it from a smaller scope, we could do it like, ooh. Maybe we could get, ooh. Kind of like this. It's like the back end of the evidence and force it. Look at that. Interesting. Flat resistance, uptrending support. I don't know about you guys, but that makes for it looks like an ascending hole. Is that an ascending? Is this an ascending triangle? Holy smokes. At the back end. If that's an ascending triangle, this would be a bullish continuation. It looks like it to me. Is Tom's brother the new Bob? When will oil turn 70 to 80s? This channel is going to be XRP Millionaire chat. Oh, XRP Millions chat. Yeah, it will be. When we all turn 70s or 80s, this channel is going to be XRP Millionaires chat. I agree with that, and everybody who stays the course. And I've got like $18,000 in liquidity that I can use on whatever I choose. Everybody knows. And I want to use it on oil, but I don't know, guys. What do you think about this? I'm just generally curious. Because we did this for a series, right? For a series of decades. And down to bear flags. And down. And finally we created a V shape. It finally looks like something's happening. Yeah, my brother. I would encourage you, though. Yeah, I know you guys like to watch him on YouTube, but please. Old Vincenzo. You guys got to follow him. He's Michigan. Snow forecast gold standard. He's amazing. He's got 20-something thousand followers now. 21,000. He's been getting millions of views a day. He's so legit. Like, you're not going to find anybody who does stuff like him. He's got videos that have millions of views now. But his weather stuff is on fucking point. On point. He's been doing it since I was a kid. He's 2 years younger, my brother. But I told him a long time ago, I've been talking about it on this channel. He does the best work I've ever seen with weather, explaining it. Like, literally, if you want to learn about that, and he does it all for free. He gets some nice ad revenue now. He's doing pretty good with that, but he still has a full-time job. But I told him that's going to be his ticket out of the rat race, and he knows it. So I don't see him on YouTube but once a week. But he used to get ridiculed on. It's how it goes. But he's really good at the weather stuff, so that's his passion. That's his forte. Oil, silver, gold. Absolutely. That's an impressive inverse head and shoulders, but I can see oil coming down 10 to 15 points from where. I agree with that. That's why I think that this could be a trap, possibly. But I have to make sure. I was just curious. I haven't bought anything. I just know if this plays out, it's going to be something different. And it's finally pulled up that right side the entire way down, for a very long time. And we can look at the expansive look, right? So for a very long time, we were in this downtrend, right? A very big downtrend. And then for a very long time, you know, it was a down channel. It was like a falling channel. We finally broke out of this. Like, we decidedly broke out of this. Now, the one thing that concerns me is we could, and this is what I think could be happening. We could do this, fall out, back test here, and then make that strength. And then we could have the hooking around here. I always like when they do that and back test a long sustaining pattern. So I would probably look at this area. If it's going to fall out, then I would probably make some kind of move. Other than that, I don't think I could do it on here until we got confirmation for a push up. But when we do get that push up, it's going to be a huge... That's been building a move over like 30 years. Or no, 20 years. XRP Army needs to load up Sologenic, the biggest token on the XRP ledger. We used to trade Solo. We had a great run on Solo and Corium a couple years ago. They're just... Those ones are harder to find on certain exchanges, and there's a lot of volatility. But yeah, I don't disagree. I don't hate those tokens at all. They have very low circulating supply. I think Solo has... One has 500 million and the other one has 600 million between Corium and Solo. I don't even know what the price is at these days, to be honest. How long? An hour and 11 minutes. My God, I'm going to have to go look at everything. I got to go check on my son and stuff because Julie's sleeping and I just want to make sure she can get some rest. Yeah, 16 cents. It's come down a lot, but I remember when it was at much cheaper prices. I mean, we're talking about way down here. For a long time it was on this downward. But these can be big. We'll see how these pan out. We'll look at this later. I want to read one thing before I go. I know we've been all over the place, but I thank everybody who's in here. I seen we had Oliver Marks gifting a sub, not only in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Badge, but gifted a sub, and Hilo Flyer got it back in Tom's Army for over 1 year now with the I Told You So Badge. How awesome is that? Oh, God. How awesome is that? Thank you all so much for the support. I don't know why people get so mad about some of this stuff. Hey, I'm just posting stuff to you people. I like when they get mad though, because it gives me engagement and things like that. I need it. So this is what I did a little video on YouTube too about this, but this is the 12-minute XRP wick, how $142,000 vanished while I slept. And I put disclaimer. I came across this story. Please pay attention and don't use leverage. And I think I'm going to start a series of this. I might have did it a disservice on my YouTube page because I loaded it and then did the live and I did an XDC short. But I like to work. You know, I like to do a lot of stuff. And if you see how much stuff I put out on Facebook on top of my... Oh, my God. I never stop. I have this overactive mind and I never stop. I just can't stop. I can't explain it. So... Hell, I may hurt my own cause a lot of times. Then I put on the Cooking with XRP Future Millionaire, that pizza. Which the only thing I did wrong was that I needed to do a recipe for 12-ounce dough instead of 16 because it was still too thick, but it cooked beautifully. Looked beautiful. It looked like I cooked it out of a brick oven. It looks exactly like I want a pizza, except it was too thick. So I'm going to stretch it out from 12 ounces and do a 16-ounce stretch. Or, I mean, a 16-inch stretch. So, anyhow, let me read this. So, my name is Matt. I'm writing this from a grocery store parking lot because I can't bring myself to drive home. I'm physically sick. My chest is tight, and for the first time in my life, I don't know how to look my wife in the eye. This isn't just a bad trade. It's the end of a dream. I've been an XRP diamond hand for years. I held through the SEC lawsuit, the years of sideways movement, and the constant FUD. I thought I was battle-tested. But on Monday, I let the greed take the wheel. With the ETF hype building and the Greenland tariff news hitting the wires, I was convinced this is the breakout to $5. I didn't just buy the coins. I went for the get-rich-quick button. I opened a 50x leverage position. Listen, you only need a 1.9% movement to the downside to get liquidated out of that trade. Don't do that. I put up everything. Our entire down payment for our first house as collateral. I just needed one green wick to change our lives forever. The $1.84 wick of death. At 3 a.m. while the world was quiet, the predator woke up. A flash crash hit the market. It wasn't a slow decline. It was a violent algorithm-driven spike designed to hunt every leveraged soul in its path. The price plummeted from over $2 to $1.84, and there was over $40 million liquidated in this 12-hour period, by the way, where this guy got caught up in seconds. I was asleep. No time to add margin, no time to hit sell. By the time my phone buzzed with the liquidation email, it was already over. $142,600 gone in 12 minutes. The part that makes me want to scream, the price didn't stay at $1.84. It bounced back to $1.97 almost instantly, and we've seen it in the chart in less than one candle. It was all the way back up. Even now, it's still above $1.92 roughly. But if I had just held the actual coins in a wallet, I'd be fine right now. My portfolio would be green, but because I used leverage, the exchanges took it all. They closed my life savings at the absolute bottom of the wick, and then the market moved on without me like I never existed. My wife just texted me, can we go look at the house in the suburbs this weekend? I think it's the one. I have to tell her we don't have a down payment anymore. I have to tell her I gambled our future on a sure thing, and the house won. A warning to the XRP army. If you're touching that leverage button, you aren't an investor, you are a target. The big players hunt these wicks specifically to liquidate families to fill their own pockets. They need your forced sells to buy their own positions. And I firmly believe that that's actually a great point. Think about all of those positions that end up getting taken by forced liquidations, and now they've got this liquidity that they didn't have before, and now they just simply buy the position and let it sit. Imagine the exchanges do that every time a position's liquidated to buy a spot of that position. Just from somebody else's money that got liquidated. It's just an algorithm after all, and they just have a little AI. I'm 47 years old, only 5 years older than me, which is crazy, actually, to think about this. Where I would be at WoW. I'm starting back at 0. Please, if you love your family, stay away from the leverage. If you want to own XRP, buy the coins. Don't let a 12-minute wick erase your life. And it's so true. I don't want to show all of that, but... Oh, and there's my pizza, for anybody wondering what it looked like. That's the pizza. I know, I can't even believe it. I made that. Put some mushrooms on for Julie. I can't even believe I made that. We did it from scratch, too. It was awesome. This is why you don't get greedy and gamble with your... I know. 50x leverage that. Matt was using 50x leverage. 50x. I don't know how he slept either. I couldn't sleep if I had 2x leverage. Oh my god, open serve, you cocksucker. See, this is the one I feel so bad about. I watched this so much, and I wasn't paying attention to it, and it came down to that support, finally. And it sat there for weeks, and I didn't pay attention to it. Weeks! Makes you gut check yourself sometimes. And this isn't even right, but the point is it came down there for a long time. We had a lot of time down there. Fucking. But anyhow, you know, the lessons in time. But now the question is, does MicroStrategy, is BitMine becoming very, very, very opportunistic if it could get out of here? Well, you know, we still have downtrending support, downtrending resistance. Which, as of right now, one could argue maybe this is making more of like a... Is that a wedge, maybe? Or is that a... I would almost say that's almost creating like a little bit of a wedge, kind of, but... It's not going in the right direction, though. If it was creating a wedge, it should be coming up more like this, I think. But the fact it's coming down, I mean, I guess it gets... But anyhow, I gotta get going here. But we'll talk more about this tomorrow. But yeah, be blessed, everyone.